Mr. Al-Ansari, of course, Saudi Arabia has been an ally of the United States despite some of the recent drama going on between the two countries. But to you, the Saudis, what exactly is the strategic goal that you can tell of not only the current White House, but also of Washington as a whole in the Middle East, let's just say over the past 10 to 15 years?
I think overall Saudi-US relationship is still strong, still to be a relationship that is historic and important for the region and the security of the world. With regards to the topics that you guys discussed with regards to Syria, I think Saudi Arabia is very concerned with what's going on in Syria. It's a war that has produced one of the most humanitarian crises in the world. And I think it's very important for us to look at the complexity of Syria and to not just go with the mainstream media, which just go and attack the President of the United States. I think the President of the United States has done some tactical moves within Syria. I think overall, Iran and Turkey have swallowed the bait. I say so because with Twitter diplomacy, Trump proved to the world that Iran and Turkey were not good partners with regards to helping the Syrian people, because the moment he tweeted about withdrawing, even though I think that I do not take it at face value because it was tactical, Trump only has 2,000 soldiers within Syria, specifically in the eastern part of the Euphrates, and with 15 US bases over there. So I do not think that there will be a complete withdrawal. Let's imagine, or let's assume that he will withdraw 90% of the soldiers, of the troops on the ground. It will be 200 people spread around 15 bases. This will be symbolic to the people because people will not, and countries will not be able to attack any of these bases or any of the territories that are controlled by the US. So overall, I think Turkey and Iran should get back to their senses and should not make the crisis in Syria worse.
Professor Marandi, come to you. How do you read the current administration and the current Washington's attitude toward Iran? And how does Iran, as a result, look at the current logic Washington is dealing with the region?
The United States is in a very difficult position because its presence in Syria, as I said earlier, is not only illegal, but it's also completely unacceptable to Turkey. It is very expensive because the Americans have to fly everything into the country, and it creates tensions with a very powerful and important country like Turkey. And Turkey and Iran are moving much closer to Iran, to each other today, especially after what the Saudis did to Jamal Khashoggi and cutting him up alive in the consulate in Istanbul, and the Saudi and Emirati support.
So you are not necessarily answering my question, I'm afraid, Professor Marandi. I'm asking you about how Iran is exactly looking at the U.S. actions and try to figure out what the U.S. strategic goal is. You are telling me one after another phenomenons which has already been recorded into the news anyway. Mr. Al-Ansari, Saudi Arabia as an ally has been repeatedly mentioned in the analysis of the other gentlemen, but the question is, Saudi also want to have its own identity and its own strong regional presence as a regional player in the region. So now the U.S. policy has been switching. How do you think Saudi Arabia next step will be doing? Briefly, sir.
Allow me just to comment about what Mr. Marandi has said. Because
can you do it briefly also, because you were doing some back and forth. So let's focus on the main point. Go ahead, sir.
Definitely. But he tried to project Iran as if it's Finland or New Zealand. I think he should get the facts right, because Al-Qaeda leaders are still harbored in Iran. And no one can deny this, and the Treasury Department has talked about this multiple times. With regards to the long-term strategy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is nothing but two things: prosperity and security. And Saudi Arabia wants to take that role to help all the neighboring countries to prosper and to also have a safe and secured nations. We do not allow the Iranian regime, which is a radical regime, to infiltrate through its proxies, either the Houthis or Hezbollah, which is considered to be international terror group. We do not allow the Iranians to play the game of the right and the left. Rouhani is the moderate, and Khamenei is the extremist or whatever. They are all the same people, and they want to have an unstable Middle East, and we will push back with our partners, specifically the United States, to push back with against the aggression of the radical Iranian regime, because we did not see any positive
we see a lot of, we'll give you